Do a big smiley look. The biggest smile you can give.
That was a big smile as well.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If there's one thing I love about film photography, and that is all the different variables, the different films, the different chemicals you can put together to try and make your pictures a little bit different from what you've done in the past. And this time I thought I'd try a film that I haven't shot a great deal of over the past, mainly because of the cost, and that's Kodak's 400 TX or Tri X 400 film. It's a classic film, and if you do some research online, you'll know that Kodak Tri X 400 has been going a very long time. In fact, they started putting it into 35mm cassettes and 120 films back in the 1950s, and it's been a favourite for many photojournalists and documentary photographers and other photographers alike throughout the years. Normally my go-to 400 speed film is Ilford's HP5, but in this case I thought I'd grab a few rolls of Tri X 400 just for something different, I suppose. And I went off yesterday with the Leica MP and I went to a place called Ventnor on the Isle of Wight, which is like a little harbour town, and these are some of the photographs that I took. If you do a bit of research online, you'll read many people that use Tri X talking about its classic look with its noticeable grain, good tonality, and a film that has bags of latitude, which is great for pushing, pulling and metering errors. Most of you know I like walking the back streets of popular areas away from the crowds. I always find this is where the buildings are generally untouched and are usually dirty and gritty with fire escape stairs and broken windows. I noticed this boat on the harbour that had literally been dumped and deserted to crash against the harbour wall, and the mariners were trying to get it moored to safety for a salvage rescue. I'm not generally into taking photographs of strangers, but I couldn't resist a shot of this guy who was standing outside a beauty parlour with his dog. The Tri X that I shot yesterday at the harbour, I came back and I developed that film in Kodak's D76 at stock. I was going to go one part to one part, but I decided to do it in stock and just see what the grain looked like. It was quite smooth grain, wasn't very noticeable at all, certainly wasn't that classic looking grain that I know this film can give. So that being said, I'm going to take another roll today and I'm going to do some portraits of Jacob. That's my daughter's boyfriend. You remember seeing him on the video when I featured the Leica 3F. I'm going to take some photographs of him down the studio light with this background using a roll of Tri X, and I'm going to develop it one part to one part. I want to try and get that classic look from this film. So I'll show you what I'm up to. I'll show you how I go along during the photographs, see how we get on, show you the images afterwards. So I'm all set up and ready to go. This is Jacob. Say hello, Jacob.
Hello, Jacob.
You've met Jacob before. He was on the Leica 3F video a few weeks back where we went down the beach huts and he did all right. So I've got set up now. He's sitting on this chair. I've got this large softbox that's coming down here. This is a strobe light and it's just going to feel some light this side and just gently wrap around this side of his face and body as well. So it's kind of like a classic look portrait. The softbox is like a 45-degree angle. I'm using the Nikon F5. The film is already inside. All I've got to do is just do a little tiny bit of meter reading on the on Jacob. Back to the camera, and this F5 is syncing at 250th of a second, so it's giving me around about F11. So I'm going to shoot this at F11 250th of a second 400 speed film. I've got a prop for Jacob. Yeah, here's George. George, the one-eyed pirate Shih Tzu. You've all met George before. George, look your best. Jacob's having a portrait with you. So there was a few selected negatives that I scanned of Jacob, and you can see the negatives here on the light box. They don't look that great. If you look at the rebate of the film and the edge markings, they look a little bit faint, which makes me think the film's been underdeveloped. I did this at 1 part to 1 part for 10 minutes. Still, the negatives are workable. Let's get in the darkroom and see if I can make a print of one of these photographs. So I've been in the darkroom and I chose a couple of negatives of Jacob that I quite liked. He's already gone home, so he's not even seeing this part. But tough luck, Jacob, if you're watching. I've decided to choose these ones. This one here was quite nice. This was just 6 seconds on the enlarger with a 2.5 grade filter at f5.6. It come out quite nice. The lighting's nice, and he used my little Retinette camera there as a prop. And there it is there, along with the test strip. I've got another print I'm going to do. I'll show you that one as I go along and see what we can do with it. And this is the next photograph that I liked, with Jacob just sort of straddling over that chair, and I kind of kinked it at a slight angle as I took the photograph, kind of a classic pose. This is the one I'm going to make a print of now. So I've already done a test print of this already at the same 6 seconds as I did the last with the 2.5 grade filter. I figured there were similar exposures, so there shouldn't be much difference, but I need to make a full print, make sure it's in focus, and it is. Like I said, that grain, it's not bad at all. Obviously it's there, but it's not golf ball size or anything like that. It's quite fine. So these are 10 by 8 size prints on 12-inch paper. So it gives us a little bit of border if they want to frame it. His parents, or maybe Miguel, my girlfriend, my daughter might even want to frame it. I don't know. But let's burst that off for 6 seconds. And we can have a look at that full size print to see if we need to make any changes with any dodging around the face or whatever. And it goes to the developer. And I've already cleaned the negative and the carrier, so I'm hoping there's no specks of dust on it, but as long as it's not over bad, you know, the odd speck of dust here or there on that darker background, I don't mind that. But as long as it's like, you know, not a speck on the end of his nose or something, it'll be okay. It's not looking too bad at all. Little tiny speck on his hair, so that'll have to be looked at. Yeah, I need to do a little tiny bit of dodging on his face, I think. The longer I leave this in the developer, the darker it's getting. Or maybe slot the time off a little bit on the enlarger to maybe 4 seconds. Let's have a look. We'll get the print stopped and fixed and washed and have a look at it. There's that print there. I can see, yeah, his face is a little bit darker, but these parts are okay. So I'm going to keep them at 6 seconds and just use a dodge tool around his face, just maybe for 2 seconds, just around a bit of the hair and just around his face for a couple of seconds. And then that way all this will stay the same. I like all the background, but his face just needs to lighten a little tiny bit. But I do have a little tiny spot here, and you've got some marks down the side of the neg, so I'm going to have to clean the neg, do another reprint, see how we get on. Also a little spot there on his chin. These are the ones I don't like. If it's a face, you certainly don't want this stuff, but I can touch that up with some spotting dyes that I've got. So it's quite a nice position that Jacob's in. It's a nice portrait, just need to try and get that right, and I think that could be a nice one to frame. Another piece of paper. Get my dodge tool there ready, and just literally for a couple of seconds, just dodge his face. I've got 6 seconds to play with, so that's okay. 1, 2, that'll do. Done. Let's see how that looks. And I get a lot of direct messages from people and emails telling me that they've just set up their own darkroom and things aren't going too right for them. It just goes to show, it doesn't go right for me either sometimes, and it's not to get frustrated. It just it is what it is, and you just got to overcome these little tiny problems, you know. So it's not a case of getting despondent. It's just trying to find, you know, fault finding the darkroom, see where the dust's coming from, see why you're getting it, and and try and do your best to rectify it. And also, like I said here, doing a bit of dodging on Jacob's face, it looked like it's worked quite nice. And if any of you lovely lot watching use Tri X on a regular basis, let us know what you use it for and what you love about Kodak Tri X 400. I'd love to know. And that one looks much better. I've got rid of those two little tiny spot marks on his face, which is the most important. Still got a couple around the edges here, but it's possibly entrapped in the negative, but that doesn't bother me. As long as it's not on his face or his hair, then it's quite nice. But you can see I've done that little tiny bit of dodging, and it's just lightened his face slightly, making the portrait much nicer. I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to leave that one as is. And if I put the two together, you can see straight away the dramatic change, just a couple of seconds there compared to that one. So good stuff. So going back to what I said earlier about these negatives being a little bit undeveloped, I looked at the negatives from yesterday's shoot as well when I was on the back streets, and they look slightly underdeveloped also, which makes me believe that maybe the D76, when I mixed it a few days ago, possibly I did something wrong as I was mixing it, making the developer. I don't know. I followed the instructions and I've mixed D76 before and never had any problems, so who knows. I'm not going to say it's a bad batch. Possibly I've done something wrong with the D76, but hey ho, the negatives still worked and I still got decent photo or prints out of them at the end of the session, so that's all that matters. I'll have to test that D76 and see what it's doing to my negatives. But I also put one of my photographs out on Instagram and asked you people what you thought of Tri X. Have you used it before? What do you think of it? And I got some interesting responses, so massive thanks to the people that responded to that, and also on Facebook as well. But above all, I had fun taking photographs. Me and Jacob had a laugh as we were taking his portraits, and I've enjoyed myself in the darkroom making a couple of prints, and no doubt his parents and also my daughter will like the photographs that I've made in the darkroom for them to put on their walls and frame. And that's what it's all about, is enjoying yourself and having fun. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. I don't know if something's happening there, but we'll try it out. It's working. Ready? Down the lens. Smile though. Smile like you mean it.